Hello everybody, this is Roku Rotenki, and thank you guys very much for joining me today, I should say this evening, as we are gearing up for the Diablo 4 launch and stuff. The game noise you're hearing in the background is satisfactory from earlier. I'm still doing some of it at the moment and stuff while we're going to be waiting for a little bit, I guess. Hopefully it's not very long. And we'll be getting going soon, I pray. Oh, really, really pray that it will be going soon. Oh. Nice, but I really need. And yep. Did not get the recipe from the hard drive I just collected. Of course not. But okay, we'll be just kind of chilling and stuff and everything. I'll see if what I can do here. That's game capture. Let's grab another source here real quick. Let's go. Audio. Display capture. Window capture. There we go. Add this source. Add source. We want this to target Google Chrome. Okay. Done there. And then we will move that clear down to here. Shrink her down. Bring her up here. Get it into place. There we go. That way, that will allow us to be able to kind of, as we're preparing for everything. Oh, that should do it. And then let me just pop over to here now. Add source. We want window capture. That one. Add that source. Then we want to right click it. Scaling. No. Transform. Put the screen. Okay. And then we'll just drag down here to the bottom, and there we go. There, now we can kind of watch this together. This is kind of the guy, the build that I'm going to be going off of and stuff and everything. It's a thing from Rax. There we go. Of course. There we go. Okay, let's, just for the heck of it, let's check out his eagle build. I haven't seen the eagle build video yet, but I'm already completely set on centipede.
Powerful for us. And you can see my favorite mercenary Subo is pointing out where all the enemies are. That will be very helpful for you specifically.
Might help if I turn it up so you guys can hear better.
You need to pick all the flowers and all the ore stuff. So let's go ahead and jump to the end here. I don't want to waste any of your time. And let's fight the boss and let's see what happens. But this character, it's only playing on hard difficulty. But it doesn't have great gear, nothing like that, just kind of the basic codex powers, and absolutely no chance to boost. This build is extremely strong. It's definitely one of the best archetypes available in the game. So videos, we don't do that. All right, so let's take a look at how this works. So this is the main power we're going to be using. Let me tell you a hint. If you ever want to know where the Forge of Malice is in the Hantu, hit tab and then Y will bring up the Codex of Power. You can search for either Quill Volley or Ocelot's Eye, whatever you want to do. Search for the power, and then left click on it. It will mark it on your map and give you a path straight to it. It's really that easy. Go complete this dungeon very early on and slap this on your amulet, not on your weapon, because your weapon you will constantly be changing all the time, but your amulet you don't have to. That way you get the really nice power on your amulet, you don't have to move it around. Also, there is another power you can get where enemies you poison give your eagle skills 30% increased critical strike chance. Well, our generator is going to be poisoned. So, this is perfect. So let's do a basic rundown of the build here. I take the poison generator, first of all, so we can use that power, but really because it reduces their damage by 20%, this is going to make you win on the bosses if they can't kill you. We've got Quill Volley, which is going to be our main ability, and we've got the power from the amulet. It makes them vulnerable, they fly further, and then they converge on the target and give you more crit chance. These passives are just going to increase the damage of your core skills, and this is going to give you more vigor. Vortex is a super awesome skill to use, especially as the monsters get more powerful, because the Vortex is going to gather all the enemies. And you can hit them with your eagle, or hit them with your razor wings, or hit them with your quill volley, and they're going to die. So is your mobility skill to move around, as if the eagles needed any more mobility, but we'll take it anyway to be even faster. This is just damage, this is just damage, this is just damage reduction for staying alive. We don't need anything here. Then Razor Wing, I mean, if we're going Eagle, we're going Eagle. Let's go with the other power for Razor Wings. It sends out a flurry of razor sharp feathers. I like to take this one. It gives you like a spiral, like a spinny whirlwind ability. It's very, very strong, and again, it's going to help us keep up our vulnerable. We're going to take all of the Eagle passives and most of the Gorilla passives. We'll get to these in a second. We're playing the Eagle, so let's take the Eagle as well. And with the ultimate, this is going to give us damage, this is going to give us damage, and this is going to give us unstoppable. And I think with this amount of vulnerable, we can get away with taking Vital Strikes, which is going to give us huge damage to vulnerable enemies, heal us, give us more vigor, and then remove the vulnerable, so we need to reapply it as fast as we can. If you take a polearm, there is a passive here, which says if you have a polearm, you have a 30% chance on a lucky hit to make them vulnerable. You could also take this ring as well. So between the Eagles naturally applying vulnerable, the Eagle skills naturally applying vulnerable, and all this lucky hit chance to apply vulnerable as well with all of your skills, it should be up pretty much all the time. Now, on all three of my leveling build guides, I went Gorilla Jaguar. Now, the reason why I go Gorilla as the main power for Spiritnorn is because of the second part of its first paragraph there. Casting a Gorilla skill grants you a barrier for 5% of your maximum life. Just that alone makes it very hard to die. Almost entirely solves your survivability. That's just why I take it. And then all skills are now Gorilla skills, allow you to take these passives, which are pretty good. And then for the second one, I like Jaguar a lot. It gives you maximum ferocity, and we gain ferocity specifically whenever we damage a boss, but also killing an enemy helps as well. But it gives you essentially maximum ferocity even if you don't play Jaguar, which is attack speed. So you're just faster, faster, faster. I love this combination for leveling. I tried a bunch of them, and just not dying, built in with super high attack speed, is very hard to do. So that's why I recommended it on all three builds. I think that's pretty much it, guys.
Yeah. I won't lie, Eagle sounds pretty cool. But we are definitely doing Centipede. It's best Spiritborn leveling build guide. And this one's by Rob. See what he's gonna be saying here.
Hey everybody, it's Bob here. Welcome to the best Spiritborn leveling build. This is gonna be an Eagle Quill Volley Lightning build that you can play all the way till the end game. That is, I think, the best overall build in the game, and you can play it right from level 1. And here I'm gonna show you how. I already made a video talking about the best leveling strategies. I'm gonna link that below. There's also gonna be a sheet that you can follow along with it. We're gonna be talking about what skills to pick at what level and roughly what to do.
I hate how he does his videos. But yep, that didn't surprise me. See what Rage has here to say. There we go. Let's see what he's saying.
Ladies, gentlemen, and Spiritborn of all ages, the promised time is coming. Season 6 and the Vessel of Hatred expansion are coming up extremely soon, and thanks to the folks over at Blizzard, we got to play the game early and really just absorb as much as we can. I put a lot of my personal focus with this time into Spiritborn itself, the new class, and knowing that a ton of people are also going to be going into the expansion with this class on day 1, myself included of course, I thought it would be wise to share a bit of the knowledge that I've been able to gain and talk to you through leveling as a Spiritborn. I will of course be talking about one overarching build that I recommend you go for if you want to just have something powerful online super early, but given Spiritborn is totally new as a class, I'll be trying to include a bit more depth and information than usual, as unlike most leveling builds, this is for a class that only a few people have gotten to play up to this point. That said, my recommendation build focuses mostly around Quill Volley, and this is a skill that you're probably going to become quite well acquainted with on Spiritborn. It is the Eagle core skill, and it is an extremely strong one. There's lots of good ways to scale it, and it is also the longest range core option that Spiritborn has too, which adds to the comfort of damaging enemies that aren't only in essentially melee range. We then just try to build as many boosts and multipliers around it, as well as keeping in some comfort of life options too. During my original leveling journey, I had some specific legendaries and a unique drop that sort of changed how I ended up building, but I've since gone back and refined the build with the knowledge and testing that I had after hitting max level to try and make this as smooth as possible for you all. That said, some quick topics before we hop into the skills themselves. This has been made with the concept that most people will be playing the campaign of the expansion as their main source of leveling until at least level 50, and that doing the campaign on normal difficulty is only minimally less XP than doing it on even penitent difficulty, due to quest XP being the main reward and quest XP not scaling with difficulty tier. So most people will be leveling by doing the campaign on normal or maybe hard at most for most of the journey, which moves the goalposts a little bit, so to say. As well, because leveling maxes out at level 60 now, we will talk about how to get the full way there with this build, as well as the adjustments that you would make when you get there at that stage to help you complete your tier 20 pit run to unlock the Torment 1 difficulty tier as well, which will bring you into the proper endgame of the game where you can begin to farm and grind for real. All these things said, we'll break down these skill points and the specific timing to swap some skills over to others, the Spirit Hall choices, the legendary and gear choices, the very starting Paragon setup, your rune words, your mercenary choices once you have those options, and then just how to play or any tips that I have for you. Starting off then, at first you want your basic skill opening up to be Withering Fist. At literal level 1, the stat squish that has been done since last season has made it so most direct damage numbers hit literally for 1 damage to an enemy. Poison takes advantage of there not being numbers lower than 1 by doubling this up, hitting for 1 damage up front and then also 1 damage per second afterwards. It may sound a little silly, but it makes a big difference up for the first section of leveling, those first few levels, so we use this to begin with the knowledge that we will be trading to another basic skill later on. We also take the enhancement for this with our second point for 1 vigor per second for every nearby enemy that has been actively poisoned with this skill. This unlocks the core node cluster afterwards, and here we pick up Quill Volley. This fires out a cone of feathers that deal lightning damage to enemies hit and pierce through them to hit other enemies that are behind them as well. We also take Enhanced Quill Volley to make enemies vulnerable if they are hit by at least 3 of the feathers, and vulnerable is just exceptional early on as a debuff, as it is just a reliable early way to get 20% increased damage against anything it affects. This is an exceptionally consistent applier of that debuff as well if you use the skill in close range. On which note, we also pick up Advantageous Quill Volley. This increases your damage done by 10% with the skill for each feather that hits the same target, again benefiting the sort of shotgun launching strategy right up in an enemy's face. The other enhancement
Gonna be
is
an
a bit
eagle
deceptive.
build. That's kind of what I figured. this is the build that we will be most likely using. But let's re-listen to this for a little bit.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. I have another video for you for the Diablo 4 expansion, and this is going to be the leveling guide. I'm going to break it up into two different sections. One will be if you bought the expansion, and one will be if you haven't. There's going to be different strategies, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right on into it. So first of all, in Season 6, there is a season journey. As you complete it, it's going to give you a bunch of legendary powers and help you make certain builds for the classes. This is what they're going to give you. Barb's going to get weapon mastery, weapon swapping, and the stuff for the walking arsenal key passive. Druids are going to get earth and companions. And by the way, some of the patch note changes, I think are going to make companions better. So this might actually be a good build. Necros are going to get shadow and curses. Sorcerers are going to get elementalism. I believe that's the new key passive. And conjurations. And remember, they have the new familiars. And spoiler alert, I think the familiar leveling is actually going to be very strong. Rogues are going to get agility and stealth. Hopefully that can help us with our Goblin Blaster. And finally, Spiritnorn is going to get a little bit of everything. I don't really know what that means. I guess they're going to help you build any of the archetypes there. So, let's zoom in here and let's cover this. So, Maxroll, I'm sure we'll have a bunch of builds for you. I will have a bunch of builds as well. You can go pick whatever build that you would like. So you're going to want to make your brand new character. Most of you are probably going to make a Spiritborn, and I would strongly encourage you to start on normal. There's a bunch of different difficulties you could start on. Normal, hard, expert, or penitent, I believe, are your options. And they're challenging. Now, when I did my run in the review copy, I didn't have my renown. So I started at level 1, like 0 skill points. I didn't have the altars of Lilith and base stats. I didn't have the extra potions. I had nothing. I didn't have a build in mind. I didn't have a codex of power. I didn't have tempering. I didn't have anything. And playing on hard was very, very difficult. And I think their idea is actually to make the difficulties even more challenging. That way you actually have a progression for your character. You just don't start out in the hardest difficulty at the beginning. I think for most people, you should start on normal, at least until you get your class mechanic, and then you can try turning it up. Some people said, nah, Rax, I'm going to start on Penitent, I'm just going to send it. All right, but have good luck. And then you can skip the base campaign, and you can start right away in the campaign of the expansion. So I keep getting questions on this. People ask, Rax, can I start from a Spiritborn at level 1, or do I have to unlock get the Spiritborn immediately? Rax, can I do the campaign just for the expansion, and I don't have to do the base expansion again? Yes, you can skip the base expansion and start on the second expansion. It all works in your favor, no problem. Start as a Spiritborn, skip the base campaign, and you're ready to go. If you haven't done the base campaign yet, you will have to.
We're going to do things a little different.
To Diablo 4.
We're going to be playing straight from the beginning of the game. As a refresher course for the whole story, and of course as a Spiritborn.
Now, the very first thing that I would do
I know some people may not like it, but I want the refresher.
It's not going to take too long. I will have a video out that explains the whole Season 6 thing. But essentially you have a quest where you have to go into a Realm Walker, you have to fight him, he spawns a portal. You want to complete that portal because it's going to give you opals, these powerful elixirs. They're called opals, and they stack with your other elixirs and your incense. This is going to let you stack an opal and elixir and incense the whole way, leveling up. And it's going to help you reach level 60 faster.
Pause here, and I'm going to check and see if it's saying anything. Not yet, because now it's 7:30. I'm gonna try. And see, it hasn't had me the install. Let's see what happens here. Servers are still down. kind of what I figured. I see the other people on my list are busy waiting on things too. Okay.
Remember, after you reach level 60, you have a little bit of a grind ahead of you. You have 300 Paragon points to grind. Most people won't reach Paragon 300, but those Paragon points are valuable, and they're going to help you do some of the endgame activities. So the faster you chew through those Paragon levels, the better. So you want to be running with these all the time. That's why first thing you should do, level 1 Spiritnorn, hit tab and go do the seasonal quest line first, and then we're going to go do the expansion. So I have more good news for you guys. When I did the expansion, I did some of it on hard, some of it on normal. When I was done with it, I was level 60. I was completely done. So it's not like you have to do the campaign and then go do a million other things. Especially if you use the opals, the elixirs, and the incense. If you aren't 60 by the time that you're done, you're at least going to be very, very close. So that will help you. Now, let me give you some tips and tricks when going through the expansion. First thing, we already talked about it 3 times already. Have the opal, the elixir, and the incense always active. I would, again, stay on normal until you get your class mechanic. It's pretty difficult. And they said they're going to make it even more difficult. So, we'll see. But play on normal unless you really want a challenge. And then when you get your Spiritborn class mechanic, then you can consider turning it up. You can, right away in the campaign, almost immediately, you can go explore Nahantu, and you can go get your codex powers. Now, the most beautiful thing about that is you don't need to know where the dungeon is to go get your power. If you know, for example, oh, I need the poison power that buffs toxic or stinger, let's say stinger. All you have to do is hit tab Y to open the codex thing. Type in the word stinger, and you're going to see the aspect. Click on it, and it will mark it on your map, even if it's in the fog. Open the tab Y, type in stinger, click on the aspect. It should draw a line to the aspect that you need. You don't need to know where it is in Nahantu. It will point it out for you. So go get your codex powers for your build. That will help you a lot. The moment that you unlock your mercenary quest, go do the mercenary quest. Because you can have a friend that's going with you as long as you're playing solo. A lot of you will be playing solo. So complete those quests. You can do all the different ones to unlock the different mercenaries. I will have a guide on the mercenaries for you. One of the mercenaries named Subo, and he has like a map hack ability. He reveals everything on the map. He reveals where all the nodes are. I would strongly advise you, as you're riding around, every ore vein, every flower that you see, pick them up. Because I never had enough flowers to upgrade my potions going through the campaign, and believe me, you're going to want these potions. You're going to want to level them up as fast as you can. If you have him with you from the beginning, and he shows you where every flower is as you're riding by, life's going to be pretty easy. If you ever run out of opals from the season mechanic, whether you did the Realm Walker or got some from the Reputation, go back and do a Realm Walker. Stop what you're doing in the campaign and go do a Realm Walker so you can get some more opals to keep those running. At the end of the campaign, there's a bunch of what I call yellow quests that kind of take you through some of the endgame activities, like Helltide or like doing the pit. Do these quests. Do them. They're going to help you. They're going to give you a lot of experience. They're going to pump up your Paragon levels, and they're going to get you positioned for the endgame. The final thing is, there is a position in the campaign that has a puzzle. I'm not here to spoil it for you, just let you know that there is a puzzle somewhere. After the game is launched on the 7th, will post a video to the solution of the puzzle. If you want to figure it out on yourself, I commend you. Go ahead. If you ain't got no time for that, you just want me to tell you the solution, it'll be in the puzzle. It'll be properly marked. It'll say spoiler, da-da-da-da-da. So that video will be there, and it will be linked in this sheet, which will be in this video below. You don't have to write anything down if you need it. When you're 15, make sure you have your codex powers. We already talked about that a above, and then we're gonna go do our class quest, the Spirit. There's already a guide for it on Max Roll for the Spiritborn Spirit Hall, if you need to go do that. This is gonna take you all the way to 60s. Now you can pick your endgame build and things. Now, when you're 60, the first thing that I would recommend that you do before you go unlock Torment 1 and go farm all of your juicy stuff is finish the Renown. Dungeons, strongholds, side quests, and or the Tenets of Akarat. Tenets of Akarat are the statues of your Lilith in the expansion. You don't actually have to find any of them if you don't want to. The only thing you have to do is progresses your Renown. So you can reach the max level without finding a single tenet in the entire. It does not give you permanent stats like the ultimate Lilith. You gotta just get what's right around put on some Enya and ride around and click them all. I mean, that's an easy way to get Renown as well. Finish the Renown so you get all the benefits from that. And just doing the campaign and doing the quests that they give you will pretty much already give you nearly 3 levels of the Renown already. So it won't be that long of a grind.
Hopefully we're live in 20 minutes.
Is beating pit level 20. This is extremely important, and you want to do this immediately. Because when you're playing on Torment 1, you unlock the ability to find any item in the game. You can get any mythic unique, you can get ancestral gear, you can get uniques, whatever you want. Hi everyone, it's Rax. A new expansion, a new season. You already know that we have to make the class tier list. Got to play the review copy of the game, so...
Okay, this one I have seen.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. I did a bunch of additional testing on leveling today, and Blizzard might make some changes, so I'll release my official leveling guide right before the expansion comes out. But I want to talk to you about it and explain to you why, well, I pretty much say this every season, but why it's probably going to be the easiest to level up in the Diablo 4 expansion than even any of the other previous seasons. So, when you buy the expansion, the first thing you're probably going to do is the campaign. I know that's what I'm going to do. I don't really care about racing at the beginning because I want to have fun and I want to enjoy the campaign one time, right? So then there's also going to be Season 6. If you didn't see my short, the Season 6 is the Season of Hatred with Mephisto. You're going to kill people and they're going to spawn like little portals and you're going to go in them. It sounds like something like that. Oh, cool, fine. So you do the Season 6 quest line. Now it's time to level up. By the way, I did my first practice run, 1 to 60 with literally nothing, simulating a fresh start. I did it in 3 hours and 15 minutes. So it can be faster than this, just playing better, and I also use the Sorcerer, it'd be faster on a Necro, for example. You can definitely get 1 to 60 in under 3 hours, which is essentially like going 1 to 100 last time. So it's not going to be a problem. So you might do the campaign, and then you do the season quest line. And now, our task, let's put it step 4, our task is to reach level 40. When you've reached level 40, your path to 60 is pretty much fixed. And the reason why, actually, I just realized something. It's actually lower than 40. It would actually be like, in the expansion, it might be like 37, because I forgot about Nahantu. Anyway, the idea is you know, you have the 5 regions of the map, okay, and now you have Nahantu, and all...
This is the reason why I've canceled my internet subscription.
What if I told you that there's no such thing as no internet connection? It's an artificially created problem so that internet providers could pocket cash from roaming fees. Just recently, a former telecommunications...
That's a scam thing.
All of the strongholds everywhere in the world. And it doesn't take that long. You can do all of them in like an hour, just riding around. And that will level you currently without Nahantu from 40 to 60. So in the expansion, it'll be something like 37 to 60, and you're done. Now, why is that? Well, strongholds were changed, and the turn-ins are extremely, extremely valuable. Not really the killing of the monsters in the strongholds, but the turn-in is so valuable that it will actually just get you all the way to max level, and it's faster than anything. It's faster than Hell Tides, it's faster than Nightmare Dungeons. it's definitely how you do it.
Okay.
So, what do you do from here to 37, especially in the future seasons where if you don't have the campaign, you probably only do the campaign once or twice. Well, the best place to start is either Helltide or the PvP zone. And the reason why the PvP zone is good is because if you kill the boss, it gives you 5 of the Grim Favors for the turn-in for the Tree of Whispers. And when you turn in the Tree of Whispers, usually you get 1 Nightmare Dungeon key, and you get 30 Sigil, which I think is half of the cost to craft another key. Once you get 1 Nightmare Dungeon key, you're good. And that's the same thing we would be hunting for in the Helltide. We can pick up some of the chests there, and they group together the Tree of Whisper Grim Favors there, so you get them all. Then you go turn it in, and then you have a Nightmare Dungeon key. And then you just do Nightmare Dungeons over and over and over until you're 37. Over and over. Just keep plugging them. Nice and easy. You have to go get your class mechanic when you're 15, 25 for Necromancers. Go get your class mechanic, and that's it. It's pretty smooth sailing all the way to 60 when you start doing all of the strongholds. So now that you're 60, now what do you do? Well, if you have a build that is even remotely resembling anything good, you can instantly do Pit 20. Instantly. You go right away and unlock Torment 1. And Torment 1 is really, really easy. Like, brand new, fresh 60, you don't, like, have any, like, maybe you have your gear tempered, no masterworking, no paragon point, nothing. It's real easy. As long as you've got any decent build from Maxwell for any of the classes. From here, you can easily farm on T1, and T1 can drop any item in the game. It can drop a 4 Greater Affix, Mythic Unique, Shaco. It can drop anything in the game. You never have to progress to T2 or T3 or T4. You do want to, though. You're incentivized to do so because, for example, in Nightmare Dungeons in T1, I believe every elite drops 3 masterworking materials, and in T4 they drop 20. T3 is 10, and I don't know what T2 is. I'm guessing it's like 7. So you get 7x the loot if you go to T4. Similarly, on T1, if you kill a tormented boss, they usually drop 1 unique, whereas on T4 it's like 4 or 5. So you get a massive influx of items. But for now, on T1, you use it to farm all of your aspects. You use it to farm your basic intro masterworking materials so you can get to T4, do the climb in the pit, and you farm some basic boss mats. So I made a decent Incinerates.
Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Rax.
Oh. What else can we watch while we're waiting? Here we go. A gorilla build, just for the heck of it, shall we?
This game,
No, we're not gonna.
you're not ready for it.
I will test other builds like I did with Sork and stuff.
Alright, Spiritborns, let's go ahead and drop a Thorns Gorilla build. This is going to be a really fun build if you like to do Thorns damage without waiting. Normally with Thorns, you have to wait for the enemies to hit you, and then they take a set amount of damage. Now what's really cool with the Spiritborn is you're able to attack, and every single time you attack, whether you want to go ahead and run the specialization Gorilla or just run Rock Splitter, you're going to be able to deal Thorns damage on every single attack, which is great. There are tons of multipliers that I don't have in the gameplay. Keep in mind the testing that we had was really limited with this, as I wanted to try to test out all of the different builds. So I was missing just tons of multipliers here. So the build is way better than what you're seeing here in terms of gameplay. It's mostly just showing off how it works. You're going to be able to teleport. It almost reminds me of kind of like a monk play style if you ever played monk in Diablo 3, because how the skills work with the basic attacks is there's like a 1, 2, 3, and then the third one it does like this bonus. But there's a special unique called the Sempa Zontek that's going to make it so every single time you attack, it's always the third attack. So you always get the spinning attack, which is going to AoE hit everything, which is great because, well, it's going to make things clear out a lot faster. So for starters, let's go over the skills. We'll go over the spirit bonuses, as well as like the aspects and uniques and the things that you want to temper and actually go ahead and roll. Now, if you do want to level up with this build, it's not that bad because Thorns is still pretty good. However, I would really suggest you guys to run Thorns mixed in with the Quill, because it's much better in terms of adding vulnerability to the build. Otherwise, if you don't have vulnerability in any Diablo build, you simply don't deal damage. Now, you can still do vulnerable, you can still apply it, but you're going to have to get it on your rings or your amulet, or you're going to have to run the glyph, which I still think that is still okay if you want to level up with this build, but I still think that the Eagle variant is going to be much better, which I will also link down below for like leveling. This is definitely a build where you can just kind of transition into it towards like the middle-ish game, but it's going to be able to shine a lot better once you get a lot of master working done, which you'll see why in a moment here. But let's go ahead and go over the build. So for starters, Rock Splitter, that's just our basic attack. It applies Thorns, but it doesn't really deal that much damage. We might be able to get like 5-10% of our damage from this, but it's mainly with Thorns. And then we have Scourge. This applies a X multiplier of damage to crowd control, which is great. And we're going to be able to get that on the Paragon board. This is going to be pretty much on every single build. The Hunter is just so much better than all of them because it just gives you 100x damage to injured. And on top of that, it also gives you another bonus of giving you all your ferocity stacks, which is tied to your attack speed. Then Armored Hide, it says it gives you like X 100, but this number has actually been changed. We'll wait and see what actually becomes in the actual game once it launches, because sometimes they tell us updates, or they won't tell us updates, and it just kind of goes over. I mean, it's actually pretty crazy against bosses. I don't know why. It does some crazy damage sometimes. Keep in mind, though, you can go way higher. I had absolutely terrible gear. I'm still running so much crit on my build because, well, Thorns doesn't crit. It's just because, again, I kind of salvaged the rest of my gear and tried to build this towards the very end with the test server. And then we are also running Toxic Skin that's going to apply a huge bonus of our Thorns. There's so many like X 100 multipliers on Thorns for Spiritborn. It's ridiculous. Then Counterattack gives us Dodge. Now Dodge in this will also give us damage, which is weird because normally with a Thorns build, you don't want to dodge because the enemy needs to hit you in order for them to take some portion of damage. So what they've done is they made it so the Spiritborn, when you get dexterity,
People
that
are
gives you
all
dodge,
getting
which is a
on.
bad thing. However,
And checking
there
to
is
see if the
something
game's
called the
live
Paragon
yet.
that gives you up to 100x based on your dodge, which is that's a pretty good number, right? So next up for the Spiritborn Halls, basically the specialization, we run the Gorilla. This is going to give us 100%. You could also get 100% here
Not yet.
with the Rock Splitter. I don't know if you can actually get 200 with it. We'll have to do some more testing. If anyone knows, you guys can let me know. But I wanted to drop this build early for you guys as, well, it's coming out later today or tomorrow, depending on your time zone. So next up we have Jaguar over here, and then this one can honestly be swapped to whatever, but Jaguar, there's just like if they take more damage from you, you can increase it. You can also run Centipede. That is another option because there's a bonus on Centipede versus like damage versus like healthy. Now, as far as the gear and aspects that you're looking for, so we're going to be running Aspect of Crowded Sage, and that's going to give us extra dodge, which gives us more HP. This build is going to be incredibly tanky, because more dodge equals more damage for our build. But I also really like it because we get not only dodge chance, but the thing that we want to get, instead of, normally you think, oh, just put Thorns on. While you're leveling, if you want to level up with this build, sure, put the Thorns on. However, you want Armor Hide active Thorns bonus, because it gives you, it says it gives you 100x, however, I believe this number is changed to 400 flat, which is crazy while you're leveling. But later down the line, this will, I guess, get a lot better in terms of the numbers. That's why I was saying, like, this build will get much better once you get, like, the multipliers, because it's pretty much one roll of Razor Plate, and every single one you can almost get another roll of Razor Plate, which starts getting crazy. Again, you'll have to master work it on there, and maybe instead of dexterity you can go for that. I want to see what that actual number becomes when the actual, like, you know, a final update comes out, because again, sometimes they just like have undocumented changes in the game and we have to like kind of tweak it. So Keep in mind, take anything with this video with a grain of salt, as I don't think everything has been fully tested with any build. I mean, most builds that are even coming out, they could be nerfed. But nonetheless, a razor plate over here obviously is the Thorns build. And then we run something called Aspect of Plains Power. I don't have it in the gameplay over here, but how it works is you're going to have a lucky hit chance to create these circles. There's a lot of builds that will create these circles. There's actually a glyph that like works with this as well, but if you use a Jaguar skill, which is why I'm running Jaguar over here, you can also like technically run it here, but whenever you use a Jaguar skill, it's going to keep our ferocity at maximum, which is tied to our attack speed, which we don't really need it for that. We just want the damage per stack, and you can get like 12 to 13 with this build, and well, you get an extra bonus damage over here, which is great. And then everywhere you can, you want armor hide, as well as the bonus to Bastion, and Bastion is tied to Thorns as well. And then we run Assimilation for more dodge, and then we can also get Thorns as a roll, and then more dodge. And then we're also getting dodge on our boots. Again, it's going to be extra survivability. Then we get the armor hide Thorns
6
bonus.
minutes
And
to
then
it'll be an hour late.
is what we're going to be running over here as well. And then we're going to be running rapid just so we can attack faster. The more times we're attacking, the more Thorns, right? And then same thing, we want Bastion.
Did I announce that I went
armor hide
live?
active Thorns bonus.
Okay, I
That's this
did.
thing over here. And I'll get into like why that matters. And then the rings are pretty much the same rings. You can just look for the cooldown for, let's say, the hunter or damage to clothes. You can get resistances here because we don't run Tyraels here. So you need to get resistances, your boots, your pants, your gloves. You can get resistances there. And then you do want chance to make enemies vulnerable in at least 2 of the slots. So you can put on 2 rings, 1 amulet, could also have it as well. Because your only source of vulnerability in this variant, unless you want to play Soar, which you could throw in, is going to be in this category. And then as far as it goes, I'm running Ohm and then Q. Neo got buffed over here. Basically, we're able to get the Bulwark, which gives us extra survivability. I honestly don't think we really need insane amount of survivability because it's already tanky, but it does technically give us more damage on the Paragon board based on the amount of like barrier that we have. And I really like the buffs to Neo, especially since we're going to get so much dodge. It's going to be really easy because, well, they're not going to deal damage to us. And then that's what we're running for the gems. Pretty much like the standard. There's nothing too special over here.
Ads, of course.
But remember, we're not going to do crit, so you do not want crit in this build, even though, like, in the gameplay, I have a bunch of crit. It's because I used a bunch of my older gear here. And then, as far as it goes in terms of the skill tree, I make this one a little bit bigger so you guys can kind of see it. Let's go ahead and scroll down over here. And then we are going to be putting some points into Rock Splitter early on. Again, if you want to level up with this, go for it. But it's basically just this accelerated. So this will add, also increase your Thorns, but it'll the third attack deals 100% of her Thorns to the enemies over there. And then you do need to get some points to kind of progress. When you put the points in over here, there's just extra points in this build. So you can do a little
This looks
bit
like a
of damage
basic
here,
build.
but it's doubled for the so you can invest a couple points into it 'cause it's really okay just to get a little bit more damage because there's a lot of free extra slots in here. And then we're going to get some bonus damage over here. We can get some extra damage while unhindered or unstoppable, which this thing will actually activate. And then Toxic Skin, we want to get this one. So Toxic Skin passively increases the Thorns damage to poison enemies. So you get 100x over here. And then there's another, well, it originally said 100x over here, but this is actually, I believe, 400. But you might take it with a grain of salt. Things may change. And then we're getting all of these extra, we got some extra block, and then we get some extra bonus berry in between, and then Bastion. So this is the thing that's really good. So you gain a lot of Thorns, and then while you have a barrier, you get to actually get some more damage. Then we want 5 points into counterattack. The reason why is it has a passive that just gives us a free extra 5% dodge. And we want dodge because it's going to give us more damage. And then Enhanced Scourge over here. I know I don't have the gameplay again. There's a lot of stuff that I wish I got to fully test out and get more time with it. But you want this because it's going to give you increased damage versus crowd control each time you hit an enemy. It's fantastic. It's like 50x damage. It's really nice. It's only versus crowd control though. And then Dominant over here, and then Resilient, it's kind of like standard. And then we get Potent. We don't get this one because we don't do crit. Thorns cannot crit in the game. There used to be a way to do it with Rogue. It's a really cool thing. If anyone wants to watch a really old, cool build where we literally can one-shot most of the things in the game with Rogue, they nerfed this back in, I think, Season 0 or Season, 1. But you're not supposed to crit with thorns. However, if you do get a shrine, you can technically crit with thorns. But then we're running this where when we cast an ultimate, we get a bonus over here. And then we run Supremacy, which we're going to be spamming our ultimate quite often because we put a bunch of points into it, and we also get the cooldown on the Hunter on our rings, and then we also get way more cooldown over here with Prodigy's Tempo. The other option is if you want to play Adaptive Stances, this is actually fine too. It's going to give you another 30% damage reduction, which is quite great to have as well. But this just gives you a bunch of extra cooldown because the more ranks that you have, and that's why we put ranks into the skill, it kind of works. If you do want to play Harlequin to get even more ranks to get more cooldown, hey, that's totally up to you as well. You can actually get cooldown reduction in your helm as well. I just feel like losing out on specifically the extra dodge because that's another multiplier in damage there. I was also thinking about Error of Perdition, but that gives us like Lucky Hit crit, which we can't really use. But we get the utility of the Armor Hide Active Thorns bonus, which is even more damage. So I wanted to go ahead and run that. As far as the Paragon board, I wanted to go ahead and run Exploit at the start just so we can just instantly just get that. It's
Okay, it's about to turn 8. So that means it's been an hour since it was supposed to go live. Let's see what happens. We're not there yet. Let's watch the live action Vessel Hatred trailer. Ooh, that's loud.
No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, be the sad man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded.
Oh shoot, it ain't coming up for you guys. Okay. Yeah, it's not gonna... Oh. I can watch on YouTube. There we go. Centipede! Eagle.
Like I do, and I blame you.
Whew. That was kind of cool, I won't lie. Oh, come on. Blizzard. Why do you guys do this to us? get us all hyped up. Okay, Twitch drops that we can get are for Sorcerer, Necromancer, those ones. Week 1 is this stuff that looks really cool. Week 2 is Barbarian. Week 3 is Rogue. Week 4 is Sork. Everybody is... all my friends are like, going nuts here. Waiting and trying to get into the game. Oops. D4. I'm looking at the Twitch drops. And then Druid. There isn't a drop for the Spiritborn? Seriously? And support a streamer. And stuff. Twitch support any tier. Urging or gifting their channel Twitch subscriptions of any tier. 2 Twitch subscriptions will earn you the mount. And gifting Twitch purchasing 4 more subscriptions will get you the armor for the mount. Well, Laz, you have to wait till tomorrow before you can get on and stuff. The game is supposed to go live tonight. That's what all the stuff says. It's just it's got a short keyword short delay. Yeah, they haven't. That's the issue that they're having right now is the rollout to the Xbox and the other consoles and stuff, the update and stuff is what's, because PC side, yeah, we could go live, we could start playing right now. It's the issue of getting, for some reason, there's a delay in the rollout to Xbox and PlayStation that's slowing everything down. Let's see if I'm gonna put in a screen capture real quick here. That'll make things a little easier. That way I have game capture, display capture. That's what I want. Add source. I want to capture, yes, that's the right, not automatic. I want to capture which display, is it primary monitor? There we go. Done. Now let's drag that down here. There. There. And stuff, but yeah. That's what's slowing. That's why we have this at the moment. And hopefully the Xbox updates and stuff will be rolling out and everything will start working here soon. I'm praying. So far, we're an hour behind the initial launch when it was supposed to start. Ooh. But hopefully we get that soon. Stuff is the big thing everybody's going nuts over. So I've just been chilling here, waiting and watching videos. Let's hide that one for now and stuff. Watching especially a lot of stuff on the Spiritborn class. I'm not lying. It's gonna be good. Spiritborn tips. There was a video I was gonna watch. Spiritborn leveling explained. Oh, here it is. Don't ruin your Spiritborn.
Awaken to a world of wonder in Final Fantasy XIV Online. Take it easy and play your way.
Yay, 14. Yay.
So, and through this, I tried to mess with as many different things as possible. I checked in with what other people were trying as well, and generally just tried to make the most out of this opportunity to just absorb as much about Spiritborn as I physically could. So today we're going to go over a sort of general guide to the class, how it will play, and what to expect in Season 6 specifically. First things first, Spiritborn will have the most build variety of any of the classes, and it will have a lot of builds in the sort of upper bracket of performance too. So if you're someone who likes having choice, or likes feeling rewarded for trying new things and experimenting, Spiritborn will be an incredible class for you to play. It has depth like none of the others, it has a lot of cool ways to synergize different parts of it, but importantly, every way that I've built it has just felt fun to actually go through the world and experience, and press buttons with. Starting with the basics, and it's worth noting right at this beginning here that Spiritborn will actually get a few unique dialogue lines in the expansion story campaign due to the different context of your character from the original 5 base classes, of course. The Spiritborn does also have a unique class mechanic, unlock quest, like the others, but I would say that the Spiritborns is the coolest, the most different, but also the longest one, so I won't spoil the cool bits, but be prepared for that. Once you do that, you unlock the Spirit Hall mechanic, and this is a very important base of how Spiritborn will function. There's the primary spirit choice and the secondary spirit choice. Each of these has 4 options, and you can mix and match them however you choose for a ton of different possibilities. They each have their own uses, but the vast majority of builds in the game will use only a few of them really if they want to be effective, because some of them just are better than others in the current balance. So we'll talk about these sort of best to worst. Best primary Spirit Hall choice is Gorilla. This applies your Thorns as damage with every attack that you do. There are a few extremely potent Thorns based builds with the class, but even on the builds that don't actively build Thorns as a stat, this is still the best choice because firstly, it gives you barrier per hit, and with high attack speed, that creates a ton of survivability. Secondly, it gives you the Gorilla skill tag on all skills. All Spirit Hall primary Guardian choices give you their skill tags to all skills, but Gorilla is exceptional for a specific reason, and that is the aspect of unyielding hits as a legendary. This is the individually strongest tool that Spiritborn has access to, really. This increases weapon damage by a percentage of your armor value. The conversion rate is extremely favorable, especially when you put it on an amulet or something even like a weapon, but we'll go into why you would generally want your weapon slot for other things a little bit later. You can take this and pair it with a ton of different armor value increases in other places in your gear, in your Paragon, especially deep endgame where you have more control over.
I will say, from what I've seen, the Gorilla build looks like it's a basic skill build almost. And that's got me intrigued and stuff. Because it looks like you're mainly just spamming your basic skill all the time. And stuff to deal a ridiculous amount of damage.
For your gear and masterworking especially and things like that. On the review build, this aspect was actually uncapped in the bonus it can give you, but we've been told by the developers that this will be capped at 1500 bonus weapon damage come live servers. 1500 bonus weapon damage, though, is still adding more than 200% weapon damage over a regular item power 800 ancestral two-handed weapon. So this is still stupidly strong. This, however, requires a Gorilla skill to hit once every 3 seconds to keep the effect active, so primary Gorilla Spirit Hall is a big choice for that reason. Also, the Gorilla's name is Wumba, and that's important too. Before moving on, I feel like I should say that Gorilla feels leagues ahead as the best choice for your primary Spirit Hall outside of like super specific builds, so the rest of these are just sort of the best of what's remaining. The second best one then is probably Jaguar, though this one is a bit more build specific. This makes it so every 15th Jaguar skill that you use causes a pulse for a portion of the damage that you did in the last half a second. This sort of asks you to do a lot of burst damage, but also just with a lot of attack speed too. Being 15% of the damage done means even if it's a large boost, even if you just did a large bit of burst, it won't have a massive hit effect to follow it, so you sort of gain more by just triggering the bonus more often with smaller hits. In other words, leaning into attack speed is good with this, which is a large part of what the Jaguar skills are about anyways, and the Jaguar skill tag then being added to skills also has the bonus of giving you access to things like the Potent passive, which gives a stacking damage buff against enemies for every Jaguar hit that they take, or the skill that increases Jaguar skill crit damage as well, and lets you apply these to other Guardian tag skills as well, and it has further synergies in Paragon, but that's a bit out of the breadth of what I wanted to talk about today, just sort of keeping it a bit more basic. Third I'd say is Eagle, but it's more just because it's very niche. You can make a Storm Feathers build, there are a number of legendary aspects that support this and exist for this reason, but given the scaling involved with them, I would be surprised if a Storm Feather build ends up breaching the top 5 in power at least. The main reason that this has use outside of that very specific niche then, is that it gives you a way to apply Vulnerable when you evade. If you have no other way of applying Vulnerable in your build, then this does have a niche role. That said, Spiritborn has a lot of options for Vulnerable application, so if you're using your
Especially
entire
Eagle.
Spirit Hall choice for that purpose, that does feel...
The Eagle build is all about Vone. Putting up tons of Vone and just, tearing things apart. Pretty much, Gorilla is brute force, boom, boom, bam, and thorns damage, and very tanky. Jaguar is all about massive attack speed and stuff. Eagle is Vone, tons of Vone, as well as also having a lot of mid-range attacks and stuff, so very good for taking down a lot of things. And then Centipede. Centipede's poison like nobody else.
Fourth up then is Centipede. This makes it so when you hit an enemy, they do less damage and gain a slow up to 8 stacks. At maximum stacks, that is 20% damage reduction and an 80% slow, which is actually pretty silly, honestly. The main reason that this Guardian would be considered good is because a 20% damage reduction is great to have, and it leaves room elsewhere in your build to gain more offense. Defensive stats basically have a bar that you have to hit with some amalgamation of class effects, skills, passives, or gear and Paragon to let you survive in the content you want to do. If it is more effective to get defense from class stuff, it could free up space for offense later in your Paragon, or so on and so forth. Gorilla is great for that reason too, and it is much better than Centipede for it, mostly because Centipede's damage reduction takes build up on each individual enemy, so it isn't applied.
Somebody just tried something.
So very simply,
Let me
it is
check.
a weaker survivability Spirit Hall option than Gorilla Spirit Hall, and a weaker offensive option too. If this made maybe
It sounded like,
every attack
yeah,
also apply
Mike was
poison
trying the
to a
game
small
again.
amount, something like
Yep,
that,
there he goes
it could
trying.
Be onto something. There could be some room to wiggle with here, but it doesn't do that, so it's just sort of outclassed at the moment in what it does best, which is why I have it in the 4th slot. The other two middle ones have their own sort of niche, but
Yep.
this one is essentially just
No,
worse Gorilla.
he's
with
trying.
slows, but slows are also easy to get in other ways. Then we have the secondary Spirit Hall choices, which will go a little bit quicker. The best one by a good distance is Jaguar. This increases maximum ferocity by 1 and also increases ferocity by 1 stack whenever you kill an enemy or hit a boss. Each stack of ferocity is 5% attack speed itself.
Sounds like he's tried something. He's going to town. I'm 3 open.
4 due to the Hunter ultimate skill which exists, which would bring you up to 9 stacks. You can also gain up to 5 more maximum stacks from the Duelist legendary aspect, which would give you 14 stacks with the overfill active. At 5% each, that's 70%
Okay, he
bonus
quit.
attack speed. Even without the overfill part, it's still 9 stacks, which is 45%
No,
bonus attack speed.
He's really trying to get into... Let's see what it says this time. Okay, it's still saying the same thing. Well, that makes no sense why he's going nuts trying to get in. He might be a wee bit frustrated knowing him.
And with the Spirit Hall applying stacks, even if you just hit a boss, not even only if you kill things, this is just a really, really good bonus in general. The secondary reason is the Harmony of Ebikawa unique helmet, which boosts skills per different Guardian Spirit skill tag that they have. So while Gorilla secondary spirit is still quite good and will be second on this list, Jaguar is first partially because it lets you take Gorilla primary with that helmet effect and still get this as your secondary to get a maximum bonus for Eagle and Centipede based skills, which is what the very highest end build archetypes are going to look like as a result. With that then, let's talk about Gorilla. Increases maximum resolve stacks, which will directly translate into more damage as well, due to the Colossal Glyph, which gives you 2% multiplicative damage increase per resolve stack that you have. Not to mention that this will also give you more damage reduction, because if you're focusing around resolve stacks, you'll also take the passive that gives you more damage reduction per resolve stack that you have on you as well. The other effect is if you have 5 or more stacks of resolve, you are just permanently unstoppable, and obviously increasing your maximum makes that easier to happen. This is a really good effect in itself too, and there is also a passive that boosts damage while unstoppable, which is a nice synergy with this as well. This also has a unique bonus of, well, the Loyalty's Mantle helmet now. This unique helmet gives you bonuses for having a matching Spirit Guardian in both primary and secondary slot, and again, with Gorilla being the best primary, this gives us an interesting combo with that helmet that makes the base Gorilla stills just a lot stronger. Next up then is Eagle, and it's an interesting one for sure, increasing crit chance every 4 meters that you move, but then resetting 2 seconds after you actually get a critical hit. The main purpose this really has is for helping create like boss one-shot builds. You build 0 crit chance into the build itself, but then high crit damage in some capacity, run around beside the spawn altar until you hit maximum stack